Good afternoon to you all. Once again, it's another great opportunity to come to your homes for us to continue the creation story. From where we left off last week, we looked at how God created man and a breath of life was breathed into his nostril and man became a living being. That was the belief of creation story from the Christian society or religion. Today we would want to move straight ahead into the traditional, would initially take the Islamic and then look at the traditional with time. And so for creation, we understand, as we learned last week, is the act of bringing something into existence. That is to say that a way whereby new things are brought into action. We have nothing there. Invention is made for us to create something. So Christianity had a share where God used 6 days to create the heavens, and on the 7th day he rested. We would look at how God created the first day, the second day, the third day, up to the 6th day, and then that one is a general thing. But coming to creation according to man, let's look at the Islamic story. Islam believed that, or Muslims believe that, Islamic religion believed that Allah created the world in 6 days, including the creation of Adam and Hawa, as stated in Quran chapter 22 verse 5. So according to Quran, man and woman was told to take care of the earth. They were told to take charge of the things that Allah created. And so man and woman were created from a gradual process. Though they were created from dust, but to make man and woman's creation special, Allah took a special gradual process in creating man. So the first process we can talk of is the dust. So Muslims believe that Allah made the dust, and then he had to put in a sperm drop in at man, and then after the sperm drop, it descended into a clot of blood. And so from a clot of blood, man has to change to a little clump of flesh. So it's a gradual process from a little clump of flesh before we realize that for 9 months, man had to become an infant, a little girl, a child. And from a little child, gradually, man takes his position as an adult. Now man is able to do things on his own. He is able to take decisions on his own. And lastly, from adult to old person. That is to say that the creation of man is from dust. Man came out from dust, and then from dust it yielded into a sperm drop. From a sperm drop, it took some time and later became a clot of blood. That same gradual process continued until the clot of blood matured to become a little clump of flesh. As if that was not enough, another process also went on, and we happened to have a little a little child coming out from that little clump of flesh. Students, from childhood, we all have been child. Gradually, from class 1, class 2, class 3, before we are in class 4 already. As if class 4 is not enough. Before we could say Jack, most of us would be graduating class BS9, that is Form 3. And so from Form 3, we venture into SS, and we are entering into adulthood. From adulthood, at a point in time when we are giving birth, when we have battled and struggled, when we have fell and we stood up, all these things, man had finally had to hold a stick as a support, as an old person, become an old person. So that is the whole totality of man. From that sperm drop, a clot of blood, a little clump of flesh, an infant, an adult, and finally an old person before we go to the grave beyond. So that is how our sisters and brothers in the Islam community or the Muslims, they believe that Allah took a very careful, gradual process in creating man. That is their thought or their school of thought. There is no two ways about that. We will have to have a belief in it, trust it, or leave it. Looking at the last group of people, which has to do with the traditionalists or the traditional religion, they of course have another school of thought in the creation story of man. That is to say that they believe that the world was created by one supreme being, someone higher than the highest, someone greater than the greatest, someone longer than the longest, the Odumankuma, the Ochediampon Kwame Basayadon. The traditionalists believe that he is the I am, which is why anytime they want to pour libation, they first have to call him first by showing the wine or the liquor past. So all traditional worshippers believe that the supreme being created all the things in the world, and he created them in order. The first one has to do with the sky. For the traditional school of thought, the sky was first created. That is to say that darkness was upon the face of the earth. So the Dumankuma had to call for the sky. And after the sky, the earth came into session. The earth was also created. Within the earth creation, that is where we have human beings on board who were to take care of the next creation, that was the rivers. So man had dominion over the rivers, the streams, those flowing from the mountain and those under the trees and various water bodies. The next creation has to do with the plants. The plants were another creation that man was supposed to take charge of. And so creation in the traditional belief, plants were created. Now this is how man came about. The man was the fit person to be created in the traditional belief. So all this while God was creating such things in preparation for man's inheritance, in order for man to inherit. So that was how human being came about. The last one has to do with animals. For traditionally, they believe that animals were curated. They were created whichever way as the animals were created in the last section of Immense creation. And so this is how we would want to end the creation story for that of Christians, Muslims, and traditionalists. In our subsequent lesson, we're going to look at the uniqueness of God, the characteristics of God, of God's creation. But right about now, I'll give you a homework that to write the steps involved in creating man according to Islam, from this point to that point, from that point to that point. If possible, make a short explanatory to that. I would end here, and I enjoyed you. I hope you also enjoyed the class. Do well to do the homework for the last one and this one as well. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.